What's up, Rich, Willie, Jason, Trout? Marin, good evening. Buddy John from Ink Park just joined. Hey John, how's it going? Marlon, how's it going? He's got a nice design out there right now.
John who?
John who, yeah.
All right, cool. Jason, I think we're ready to get started.
Okay. Well, welcome everybody to Views from the Vault 24. Today, my host, my co-host Pierre, and guest host Aaron, Househead111 on Instagram, is gonna go under the cap with the one and only Casey from Clink Room. Aaron has volunteered to be our temporary animal expert tonight. So if we see any designs or anything with animals on them, Aaron will fill us in. But Pierre, why don't you take it away?
Cool. Well, listen, first and foremost, I got to say, I got, 16 of these in? And I was telling Casey before we jumped on, I'm sitting around 4,000 hats. Okay. That's fucking insane. And I have a problem. But I will say this. The hats that I received, a good portion of them immediately jumped into my top 20 of all time. And I'm going to share a couple of things why. And I know, Casey, you, I can tell you're exhausted, but it's got to be a great feeling to know that you've enriched the hat world with some of the coolest shit I've seen in years. So I just want to make that clear. The hat that Aaron's wearing, the hat I'm wearing, that people are saying in the comments they slept on. I mean, there's so much cool shit that you put out with in collaboration with a lot of these artists. It is incredible. So I want you to know that even though you're tired, I want you to know that you've done some great, outstanding work that I'm super happy about. A lot of the hat community is too. And I know there's going to be a lot of questions. And what I love about you is how open you are to those questions. But tell us about your week, Casey, because I want to hear about this. Tell me about your week.
Yeah, man. Thank you for all those kind words. That means so much. Yeah. So this week has been a real roller coaster. I mean, you know, the growing pains of relaunching Clink like we did. You know, from the get-go, from like just figuring out the basics, like how do we figure out shipping quantities and, you know, like basic stuff. How do we figure out the you know, how to even place an order in the middle of the pandemic? Like, you know, all of that was so intense. And then, you know, figuring out how to run the day-to-day, figuring out what the hell even we wanted the Clink Room to be. Like where the Clink Room is at now is not what we envisioned. Like, I don't even know what I envisioned. I think it was like we just left and sort of built it as we fell, basically. And yeah, so to finally have them landed, have in the US, have them being shipped, was overwhelming in one sense because of the monumental sort of customer service task of making sure that everyone's voice is heard. Like, you know, Grandiose has taught me, and one reason why we've been in business for 20 years is because of the just having exceptional customer service. And I, you know, I want to make sure that like Clinkers get the same customer service that Grandiose clients do, even though the Grandiose clients are, you know, paying us, you know, a lot more than a single hat buyer would. it's still like the same. It's the same. I want to deliver that same experience. So,
Yeah.
you know, so we're on the way to that. You know, there's been the shipping challenges have been really difficult, but honestly, it's no one's fault. It's just figuring out how to take pre-orders. It's figuring out how to ship pre-orders, frankly. Shopify, which is our hosting service, doesn't have like a system built for this. And so we've had to figure it out as we go. And this week has just been a scramble to try to rectify everything. But also, like, you know, in the midst of like, you know, 50, 60 emails a day, trying to really give everyone that attention that they deserve, has been like, you know, you get onto Facebook and Instagram, and it's like you see these amazing posts that people post of their stuff, and they're happy with it, and it's just it's been incredible. That's all I can say.
Yeah, you know, Casey, listen, I think so let's if we could let's start with, I want to ask Aaron a question, if that's okay. So
Yeah.
Aaron, you got a few of these in, man. How did it feel to get those hats in?
It was like Christmas. You know, it was like being a little kid and wondering if I was going to get the gift that I had hoped for all month before Christmas got there, except for it's been 3 months. And
Yeah.
then to open that box, it was like a shining light, you know, coming into my face, you know, that, oh my God, I got it. I finally got it, you know, and really, you know, it was, I mean, that's no hyperbole, you know, I mean, it was really exciting to see these hats come in, you know, and it was even more heightened when I saw people posting about, hey, I got a shipping notification. And then the very first picture that went up, you know, when I saw that, I was like, oh man, I cannot wait. I mean, it just made the excitement double,
Yeah.
you know, and then to have it in your hand was tremendous, you know, so yeah, it's really, this is like Christmas for hat collectors for sure.
Yeah. And listen, we're going to get to some of the opportunities and the stuff that I know people have questions about, but I wanted to start from a super positive place. So Jason, I'd love to ask, since, you know, you've got a huge Instagram, you've got folks that are kind of going there to see some of the new releases. You and I and Leon do top nines. You know, we kind of rotate into your top nines, and a lot of times Clink designs are on there. What's it feel like out there now, that you've kind of been on this whole journey of showing off some of these designs, kind of touting them as one of your top nine? Now you're starting to see them land. How's that feeling?
I mean, I feel happy for everyone that had the chance to order one, because I know it's been 3 months and you almost forget about what designs are even out there. Adding that production tracker like you guys did a couple of weeks ago really helped, because even that first round of 12, I didn't even really remember what was even in there, right? And I can't scroll back through my Instagram to find stuff out from that long ago. But then just to see them hit and see the embroidery on them, see how just some of them turned out and how happy people are with the ones that they've gotten. It's been a great response so far.
Yeah. You know, and I think for me, like, you know, I don't have to go far to find which ones were in the first run, because I just have to go into a little email folder that I've created called Clink Room pre-orders. So I have to just go there and I look. But you know, listen, I think overall the response has been incredible. But I also want to call everyone's attention to the fact that this is like a new undertaking. So when Clink Room 1.0 was around, this was not the same. Instagram, I don't even know if Instagram existed. You know, I don't know if the pre-order culture certainly didn't exist. There were so many different things kind of out there. And I want to acknowledge that before we kind of get into what I think were some of the opportunities. So, you know, you got some folks that are, oh, great, man, I'm opening my box. I'm ecstatic. I love this. But then there's the anxiety-ridden folks that weren't getting shipping notifications, that were getting things out of order, and that sort of thing. Because I think with all that joy comes a little bit of that. But this is growing pains, and I understand that. But I do want to acknowledge that there's a lot of anxiety out there, Casey. Yep. And you know, I'd love to hear kind of your take on you know, how you guys are approaching some of these opportunities logistically. Because I'm sure there's some plans in place. You've heard it. I mean, if I've heard it 10 times, you've heard it 110 times. So yeah, I'd love to hear that.
Yeah. So the logistics problem is, so the main root of the problem, aside from just sort of, I think, normally customer servicing a business that ships things, where's my order? It was shipped to the wrong address. Like, it was delivered, but I don't see anything. Those are like normal things that every business ships to, gets the sort of, service. But we had an additional layer, which is, let me back up just a hair. I don't want any of this to come off as complaining. I'm not complaining. I'm grateful beyond words for the support and love you guys have shown. And all I want to do is try to deliver the best thing we can do. So, but I feel like this conversation is about sort of exposing the sort of nitty gritty for people that are interested in that, about why things are happening. And I want to be honest with you guys and open and all of that. So anyway, let's just couch it with that sort of preface. Okay, so, but the big problem was that by the time we hooked up our shipping software to our purchasing software Shopify put this strange rule that said any orders over 90 days, you couldn't export the data to the shipping software. I don't know why, but they did that. So there had to be a manual shipment of that information over, and there was a lot of details that, because Hack Club, our buddies in all of this, who are pros at this, but they had never seen anything like this either. When that ported over, there was a manual importing of all this data, and there was some details that weren't addressed. It's all been resolved, at least I think, knock all the wood. But all I know is that now that the system is in place, essentially the first 1,000 orders were sort of fell victim to this manual import problem. And it caused an insane amount of stress and headache for me and Erin. I hope all y'all that have interacted with Erin, I thank you all for being kind to her, because without her, I would lose my mind, frankly. And she's done an unbelievable job. But, we're together, we're sort of, attempting to make everything right. And there's been genuine mess ups, and I hope people that have had those genuine mess ups, we've been offering all sorts of sort of, gratitude gifts and things like that, just on thank you for understanding sort of things. Like we want to foster a lot of goodwill in this community, because we want to be around for a long time, and we know that there's going to be some growing pains, and this week has certainly been the biggest one yet. But again, it's no one's fault. Like,
yeah, and you know what? I think, Casey, what solves it all? What's the biggest? Once you get it in hand, you're like, all right, it's almost, but you forget it. But a couple of questions, right, Casey? So, first, well, not really a question, but a comment. So yesterday, the day before yesterday in the morning, the day after I got all my hats in, all the shipping notifications poured in. So after I got the hat, so it probably meant something caught up, which is great.
So what it meant was that Erin and I were literally like manually marking everything shipped.
Yeah. For
this first batch. So normally the shipping software and the purchase stuff, anyway, would all interact. But
no, but I get it. But it feels like it kind of it's starting to work out. But I one more question for you, Casey. So I remember back, and this may be something that you have to go back and look at, but do you remember with Tony's Reaper how there was a cancellation issue where people had to reorder hats?
Yes.
Do you remember this?
Yes.
Okay. So a lot of folks, what I'm seeing out in the community is they're getting 2 Reapers.
Yes.
So there's a lot of concern out there that people maybe that their Reapers with someone else. And then some of these folks are doing the right thing, but a lot of these folks are saying, I'm selling this on the secondary market right now.
So the harsh reality of that issue, that was an issue that we had with PayPal originally, and it wasn't that many.
Yeah.
To be fair, it was only about 20 orders, and of those 20 orders, I don't know what percentage of them were Tony's Reapers. It wasn't all 20, so you know, I know Tony's
Yeah.
Reapers is like a coveted design. And so people are probably going to be a little bit more careful or like sort of protective around that design. But anyways, so it was a very small amount. Yes, one of the issues with importing this thing was that the cancellation orders got shipped because it all got imported all in one big sort of clumsy batch. Anyways, there's a good percentage of people that are sending them back, and we are grateful for that, and we are rewarding, like, you know, we want to like reward that behavior because we want to make sure everyone's right. The hard truth is there may be some people that don't get their hats, and
Yeah.
that's rough, and I hate that. All I can say is that you know, part of this relationship that we have with Hat Club is that you're going to see some of these designs released in new colorways in the coming years. And, you know, next year, for instance, you're going to see some. So, for instance, we could, you know, make sure that those people get priority over those pre-orders. We also are, you know, of course, you'll get your refund. Of course, you know, we'll do our best to make it right. The disappointment.
You're figuring out how to make it. Yeah, you're figuring out how to make it right for those folks.
I mean, 100%. I mean,
line.
here's a basic question we have to ask ourselves. So there's just a certain amount of hats that just don't fit well, right? I mean,
yeah,
you guys know New Era sometimes doesn't fit great, and you guys, and frankly, you guys are super picky, which is great, and we actually appreciate that. Like, I feel like the reason why we exist is because you guys are picky and because you guys understand the distinction in the details. But also, like, you know, that cuts both ways, right? People want it to fit in the exact way, they want it to whatever, which is cool. But do we stock extra? This is a question I have to ask myself, like, do we stock extra? Because what do I do with these extra? Well, I can't, like, it would be lame for me to put like a section of the Clink Room where there's like physical product you could order right away, even if there's only like a dozen of them available. That kind of takes away from the magic that you guys did, like risking your $42 to, like, you know, bet on a design that you didn't know if it was going to be awesome or not. Like, you know, and I understand that bet's like a safe bet with us, and I appreciate you guys trusting us that. But, you know, it's like, so there's a lot to figure out in that way. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think, listen, I think the more of these that land and the more that people have them in hand, it's not a bet. This is a guarantee. But yeah, the New Era thing, like the hat sizes and stuff, those. If anybody knows about the differences from hat to hat, it's me. I mean, I know. I think New Era's quality control is at an all-time high right now, in my opinion. I mean, if you were doing this a year and a half, 2 years ago, it was literally a roll of the dice, man. If you got something from Bangladesh, you might as well go get yourself a bucket hat, because that's what you were gonna receive.
Yeah, I can imagine what these would have looked like had it been 2 years ago.
Oh my God, yeah.
I think it would.
Every hat would have been different.
Yeah. But, you know, listen, I think, so that kind of addresses some of the logistics issues. And I had a feeling it had to do, when I was seeing it, I had a feeling it had to do with those cancellations when I saw it. I was telling people, I think it's because, partially.
The big issue is this import of all these old orders that are older than 90 days. That's the big issue. If the software synced with older orders, the cancellation stuff would have been addressed immediately and wouldn't have been a problem. There was a few other problems too. There was some people that picked, like, you know, they had their hats shipped to a different address than their billing address. And, you know, that didn't translate too. So, but all of these things have been fixed. And then from here on out, all the fresh orders are all interacting cleanly. Anyways.
Yeah. Well, you know, listen, I think let's move on from the logistics stuff, right?
Okay.
That's the boring stuff. So, let's talk a little bit about what you're seeing from a design perspective. Like, you've seen these in hand. Now, you saw the swatches, but now you've seen the hats, right?
Yeah.
So, tell me what you're thinking. So, do you feel like they've come to life the way you expected them to? Was there any disappointments? Was there anything that you were like, oh my God, this is even better than I thought? Like, what were your initial thoughts? You heard mine, you heard Aaron's, you heard Jason's. What about yours?
Yeah, yes to all those scenarios. So a little bit of, like, I feel like there should be a little bit of framing of this whole thing. So I don't want to, like, people love these hats, and I love the hats. I mean, when I see the hat, when I see the maple skulls, I'm like, dude, light that thing from the top down, and it's like the craziest embroidery ever, right? It's so good.
People slept on this thing, man. This thing is crazy.
It's so good. I know. I can't wait to see it in 1,000 different colorways. It's such a classic. I mean, it's so good. So there's some things that, but I'll have to say for that one, I knew it was going to be good. It was simple. I knew how to like dictate the embroidery instructions. I knew it was going to be tight. Okay, so but as a designer, I'm always going to be critical of my work. I told you the story earlier, Pierre. Like, I'm a painting major. I went to Pratt Institute in Brooklyn, and I walked through my mom's house, and there are paintings that I did when I was in elementary school, and paintings I did as a part of my college thesis. And I have to kind of put horse blinders on for all of them because there's just too much sort of nitpicking that my brain does. It's the same with every logo I've ever done, from the Cincinnati Reds all the way to the Noodlers hat that we did, with Tulsa. So there's little things that I'm always going to wish that, would improve. And I think that's a part of the reason why Grandiose is sort of grandiose. Overall, though, I am floored at how they came out. Floored is not even the word, like shocked. It's frankly the word. Yeah. So when we relaunched Clink, like, New Era had furloughed all of their employees. I had like a 30-minute call with the owners of Hat Club, being like, hey, we want to relaunch Clink. Can you guys help us get it done? And they were like, yes. Like it was like that quick, called Ephra to like figure out, to make sure that he was like on board to help with everything. Talk to Aaron, our amazing person that works for us at Grandiose, and being like, hey, your job is going to get a lot weirder from here on out. Like there was all these basic things that we had to figure out. But one of the basic things was when we started pre-selling, we didn't know when New Era was coming back. So the actual behind the scenes of all of this first round is that by the time those closed for pre-order, New Era still wasn't back. Mm-hmm. Like we could not place an order with New Era. And so we had to basically just wait, and we waited for weeks and weeks. And by the time New Era got back up and running, they were a shell, frankly, of what they are now, what they were now, and what they are now.
Yeah.
And so by the time we got these first samples, I'll be honest, like a flip phone would have taken a better photo than some of these samples we got. But we had to trust ourselves, essentially, that our instructions that we gave, our understanding of the hats, would get us to the point to where the product would be good enough and we could be proud enough. And yes, there are things I'd want to change. There's some fidelity issues with Tony's awesome, Grim Reaper design in the face that I would totally nip in the bud now with our process. And there's a reason actually why goldfinches are delayed, is because goldfinches by Kevin were a part of this initial order, and we got this weird flip phone photo of the logo, and I could tell right away that they punted on a lot of the design details. And I'm just like, no. And I redrew it, and then so that's why it's late. But everyone else looked pretty good. Actually,
Casey, is that the same thing with Aurelian's Hell to Pay and Medusa?
The Hell, yeah. So, well, I don't know. Hell to Pay, I'm just talking about that first initial crew. The Hell to Pay was like a week 2 thing. I'm talking about
that one seems to be slower than the others too.
The other, yeah. Look, I think New Era's operation is very complicated. I don't fully understand it.
Gotcha. Okay, no problem.
I don't understand, but we're just grateful. We're just grateful they're all here. But anyways, my point is that it was a real sort of trusting the process and trusting New Era, who does make just does a great job, and they do understand us actually. But it was very odd, the whole journey for these first series, and honestly, the state that they're in is so good that I'm just sort of really happy. But there's always going to be details that I wish we could do better. But that's going to be that. But I hope that's a forever problem, honestly. Right?
Yeah. Listen, I think these are third world problems, man. I mean, right? Like, come on, man. I mean, we're in a good place. First world problems. I mean.
But it's not though. Like first world problems, yes, but I want to make the best effing hat. My son is. I want to make the best effing hat I can make. Like, and I want everyone to be constantly blown away by what we produce. And
I think honestly, Casey, I think once the logistics issues are kind of ironed out, there's no question that the sky's the limit. I think the really big concern was just that, I really believe that, because I haven't had one person. It's funny because if you go back to the Instagram live I just did today, right? I think anyone who's knocking this product, in my opinion, I have a good set of eyes, man. I look at hats all day, right? Well, in between work and raising my kids, I look at hats all day. Anybody who says these hats are not cool hats or they're not well-made hats, they're on another planet. Like, or I believe they slept on it and they're trying to denigrate something because they slept on something. Meaning, if I don't get a hat, like I didn't get the Finch's hat, right? But I think the thing I'm kicking myself, and I'm kicking myself for not getting Thunderbirds. So, but I'm not going to go knock the product. Those two things are incredible. But you do have some folks that are out there hating on the product because I think they slept.
Well, that's okay then. That's okay.
No, that's okay. But I'm sharing my opinion, Casey. That's my opinion. Okay. Sure. So my opinion is I see a lot of that, but any real consumer that's out there that's bought these hats and has them in hand cannot stop talking about them, and that I know.
And look, so if you're like a casual clinker, like I think you're gonna get this hat and you're gonna be like, whoa, this, like, look at this crazy embroidery, look at this unique, like, there's that one illustration. It's my favorite illustration that we use to sort of promote our hats. And it's the illustration is done by a clinker out of Hungary, and he's a comic book artist, but at Dark Horse Comics. And Gaiula, I'm not saying his name.
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. He did Death Dogs.
He did Death Dogs, exactly. Anyways, the one like where it's like Kong sort of like looking, and all the other monkeys are like look. That's my favorite one. That is what it means to wear a Clink hat, right? It's like people always ask me every time I wear any Clink hat. They're like, what is that logo? Like it is like catches you. So I think all of this release, this first delivery, falls cleanly into that category of like conversation starters, totally unique, like all of that. If you're a hardcore collector, you're gonna see the progression of how we develop our product over the next few months. And I think you guys are going to be really excited to see how far we get to take the quality. Like the number of processes that we've put into place to improve our quality is like more than I can count. And these first hats, are going to be their collector's items. I mean, if you're a collector, they're going to be special forever.
I won't bend the brim on mine, Casey.
Because we ain't making these colorways again. That's my promise. So and these little off details are going to be this relic of this artifact of this crazy time that we've all been through.
Yeah. Cool. So Casey, so we talked a little bit about how you felt when you first saw them. We've all talked about that. We're talking about the quality of the product, and I want to talk a little bit about where this is going. So you've got this process, right? And I'm just going to share my thoughts, and I'd love to hear, if Aaron or Jason, you have opinions. Like Monday morning crits to me is I don't know how effective it is, and I'm going to share what I mean by that. Like I think like you guys have grown from 5,000 followers when you guys renewed and got back and became, kind of reinvigorated Clink
It was,
2.0.
it was 2000, but sure.
Oh, whatever. Well, when I looked, it was 5. Okay, so either way, it's a blur to me. Now you're at 23,000. With that comes a lot more scrutiny, but also I think hate sometimes. Like you know, you'll go through, you'll see like a great design that gets 20% approval. I'm like, what the fuck? Like I don't even understand how that's possible. I'm looking at some of these hats. I'm like, how is that only 20% approval? But I'm wondering, like, is this honestly a collaborative sort of affair, Monday Morning Crits, where you're really taking into account what people are saying? Or is this just kind of let's show these off and see what people think? Like, what's done with that information?
It's a really good question, and it's evolved over the course of things. You know, the last couple weeks, because of the delivery, I haven't been able to go in and be as interactive with the comments, especially in the post, as I would have liked. So the last couple of weeks have been an anomaly, because I really enjoy sifting through the comments, and I actually really love like deleting negative comments, and like you know, I'll block it, dude. Like, you know, get negative and Clink, like there's no room for negativity. Like I think one thing people don't understand with the Clink Room, especially Monday Morning Crits, is like it's a messy day. It's meant to be messy, actually, and you guys see that by the time the logo gets to Friday. Like, there's a lot of work that our team has put into sort of getting to that point. Yeah. So, but Monday should be messy. There should be problems with it. There should be things people don't like, and so, but there is that fine line between negativity and constructive.
Yeah. There's a big difference.
And I want to really try to preserve that. So, so there's that portion of it, and I want to protect the designers too. You know, they're like dedicating themselves. If you know, some troll comes in and like trashes something that they like worked hard on, like, that sucks. Like, you know, that sucks. I don't want that. So, anyway, so yes, it is. Everything is taken into account. The vote thing has become important. I'm not going to say it hasn't, but I'll be honest. Like, well, okay, let's take this week for instance. So actually, this crew this grouping, the sixth grouping of 6 that's coming out, you know, tomorrow night, you know, Friday is one of my favorite groupings we've ever done. It's like, I'm so into it. But you know, the journey to get there was pretty complicated, right? There are a few designs that were shown on Monday that I would have actually liked to have included in Friday's post, but because of we're learning a lot about sort of where New Era's line is with regard to copyright stuff. We're
AKA lot monsters.
Lot monsters has been an issue. Yeah. So if you were one of the lot monsters people, like, you probably got an email from Aaron saying, look, it was shot down by New Era Legal, and New Era Legal is, and I understand why. They have bigger fish to fry than the Clink Room and all of us. You know, they have to protect.
Their interests in making sure that they're not like.
And I get it too. And I think I like parody a lot. Parody is like sort of like my favorite stuff, but I also understand New Era is maybe not the place for that. So that's okay. So anyway, so we're learning as we go. I also just don't know everything and don't get every reference. And so we have our editorial team, and everything really lives and dies with the editorial.
You would have to be omniscient. You would have to know and see all from a pop culture standpoint to even know this stuff.
Right. And the editorial team knows, you know, the broader sort of landscape of the hack community, and so so it's still very collaborative. One of my favorite parts of the Clink Room, I love Monday Morning Crits, because it's an opportunity to sort of float out things that I'm like, this has got to be good, right? And like, you see it sinks or floats. But I also like the designs that just show up on Friday. You guys, you know, they're about anywhere from 2 to 3 of the designs just show up out of nowhere, and a lot of that is like long weekly like collaborations with collectors, with designers, they'll message me directly and we create something, or I'll have an idea and I'll call up, Jacobo in Mexico City, or Jason Villani, one of the guys that works for Grandiose, and be like, yo, this is your idea, like run with this. And that collaboration process is really important. So I feel like the overarching answer to your question is, and I'm pretty talky tonight, so thanks for humoring me. But
Oh, it's okay. I think the overarching answer is a yes, but it's just
yes. No, everything's taken into account, but the overarching answer is we don't really know what people are gonna like, and we're always experimenting. And as soon as we feel like we know, oh, this is a no-go, someone will present something like, oh, that's too awesome to not put in the shop. So anyway.
Yeah. So Casey, let me ask you another question, if that's okay. Do you think? So I'm going to give you an example, right? There was a hat that I really loved I'm sorry, I don't remember the name. The name escapes me. It's got the big cat on it. It just went up for sale last Friday. It's got a big cat on it, but the cap colors.
Yeah, the trail cats.
Dude, I absolutely love the logo.
Yeah.
But I personally don't like the cap color.
Yeah.
Do you? That's not a knock on the designer. I love the design.
Yeah.
So do you think there's an awful lot of, and I think another one would be Bird Dogs was another one that had a similar colorway, okay, by Kurt. Do you feel that there's two things at play here, not just the logo, but also the hat color? Because
100%.
Yeah. Because
here's my dilemma is that when we post I think there's a future in Clink in which the weekly process goes the logo, then the colorway, and everything.
Yes, that's what I'm getting. That's what I'm getting to, Casey. I'm wondering if that's a thought process.
But the problem is that currently I just, every time I log into my Instagram, I see, Clink Room's Instagram, I see like piles of entries, and so they're just screenshots. Everything you see is just a screenshot. I could technically spend 30 minutes each using Photoshop and color replace, try to come up with some new color variations. It's just too much complication. So
yeah.
So what we do,
I think at the end of the day, you'll probably see all black hats. So
right. That's a problem too, right? We want that mix of art and marketability, right?
Yeah.
Ultimately, I got to run a business too, even though we're trying to constantly put out new stuff. So see, for Trail Cats, let me narrate that process. So Trail Cats came in, I think it was a gray hat on some purple details. Yep. We had just come off a week where we had 3 purple hats. I ain't putting another purple hat in the shop. So we had to come up with something fresh that sort of paid homage to it. We had just released like our new color options that using the expanded New Era color palette. And so it was like, okay, well, let's flex our muscle a little bit when it comes to those colorways. I also I'm personally like a hiker, and like I love some of like the ACG like Nike colorway stuff.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, what if we it's a Trail Cats, like let's do a
Sure.
ACG sort of colorway, and there you go. That's why it ended up the way it was.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I also think mock-ups with those colorways look terrible.
Yeah.
Yes, right. It was right. With some of those,
Like when you get them in hand, they look great, right, guys?
I'm telling you, the Trail Cats,
Yeah,
the Trail Cats is going to look great, and it's going to look. It's one I can't wait to.
Do you ever think you'll get to the place, Casey, where you can offer different colorways on a pre-order, like say a choice of 2 or 3 for a particular design? Yeah.
Yeah, so I think before, yes, I would love to get to that point. Our audience and customer base isn't big enough to facilitate that.
Okay.
But,
yeah, not only that might infringe on listen, I do think my thoughts are, and Aaron, I want you to answer after this what your thoughts are, because I'd love to hear yours. I think there's something really unique about like just the one colorway. I do like that.
Yeah.
And I also like the fact that Hat Club's going to have the opportunity, if certain criteria exist, I guess, to present it in another colorway. But I do think, God, there's a place for a lot of this stuff. I do think mock-ups look like shit sometimes, though. Like honestly, when you're talking about like the Carhartt Brown, that'll never look good in a mock-up ever.
I totally agree. Yeah.
But if you get it in hand,
Right.
it's beautiful.
Yes.
You know, and I mean that it's beautiful, but in mock-ups it's terrible. Aaron, what's your opinion on the colorway thing?
Well, I was just going to say, to your point about the mock-up versus having it in hand, one of the things that's changed for me, just from seeing actual photographs of the final product and holding them in my hands, is that I know personally I'm going to be willing to take a few more chances on ordering some of these hats that I'm not quite sure how that color is looking for me on the mock-up, but all the real results have looked so good that I'm going to take more chances now. I'm going to look at those colorways and say, you know what, there's more stuff that I like about it than I don't.
Yeah.
And considering all the great stuff that I've seen in my hand, I'm giving it a shot. You know, so certainly alternate colorway options would be a lot of fun. You know, at the same time, I think that as more people see these hats come through and just see how they've translated
It
so
builds
well.
trust.
Right.
You're putting money into the credibility
Yep.
bank every time you buy one of these hats and they come out right. The
Yep.
only hat, and I'm going to share openly, not about the design. I want to be clear. The design was outstanding. The only hat that I was like, was Kilgrim's.
Yeah.
The
Right.
only one. Every other hat, I was absolutely floored. That was the only one. And when you talk about money in the credibility bank, it's in my bank. There's so much credibility for me with Clink Room right now in terms of the design quality and the colorway selection. I feel comfortable and safe buying it, and being wowed by it. So I just want to kind of throw that out there. But
yeah, I think. Look, I think it's a batting percentage thing, and this first round is it's a miracle it exists. It's a miracle that this many hit as hard as they did.
oh yeah,
I'm so grateful. Like the amount of sleep I lost. I mean, my girlfriend should be coming here in about 30 minutes. She can attest to the amount of sleep I lost about, sizing and colors and so, but I just know that we're going to continue to increase our batting average.
yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah. So, cool. So, what types of questions do we have out there, Jason? Because I know there was a few. I think one that stood out just now was well, actually, I'll hand it off to you, Jason. What kind of question do you have out there, just to be make sure we're not out of order?
Yeah, we have a few. Chris is really wondering why his order. He ordered finches along with 4 other designs, but he's not getting those 4 other designs yet.
Yeah. So is
he's
there something with that, like in terms of like holding off the whole order if you're waiting on one hat, or should you be getting?
I don't think we're holding off the whole order. There is still a couple hundred orders actually that haven't even been marked as shipped. Have been shipped. So I don't want him to get his hopes up because I can't vouch and say that his order specifically. But I mean, as long as you're emailing support@theclinkroom.com, that's your best avenue towards getting any sort of clarity. Things are still like being sifted through in a major way. To even call what we have clarity is like not accurate. When it came to goldfinches, we don't have goldfinches. It was a misunderstanding that we had it in the warehouse. That ended up not being true. It got pushed. I don't know. So frankly, it's going to be it'll be in the next shipment.
When I emailed Clink Room, I got a response, I think 12 hours later. So, I mean, it's not like they're not responding.
We try our best. Yeah, we really try our best. So, but yeah, when it comes to the goldfinches, there was a miscommunication on the production tracker that we had said it arrived in the warehouse. That was incorrect. Again, this is the first time we're doing any of this stuff.
Yeah.
So we're trying to figure it out. So.
And then Sneaky Joe, I thought, had a good question, and that was, what has been the most challenging hat to produce so far?
Yeah, that was a great question.
A really good question. That's a really, really good question. I'll tell you what. The Vandals.
Oh, okay.
Do you guys know
Really?
that one?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Vandals. That's the one that you kind of restructured multiple a couple
Yeah.
times, right?
I personally sort of dove in and redid that one. You know, I felt like so everything from the original design, which the concept, and Austin is like become one of the like most badass, like Hall of Fame sort of level Clink designers that we have. He's also like a veteran of Brand New, which is like a big logo design conference. Jason and I have spoken at that. He spoke at that. Like he's a certified badass. And when he presented that idea, it had some problems, like genuine problems, but I had never seen anything like that. I also loved how odd it was that this guy in like a ski mask like had like a big sort of shit-eating grin on his face. Like that was so odd to me and like fun and weird and like a weird twist on because I'm someone who likes hip hop and you know graffiti culture. I used to have my studio actually in 5 Points in Queens. I don't know if you guys know what 5 Points is in Queens. It's gone now, but the huge building. My painting studio was in there, and so I'm like a huge fan of all that stuff, and it can have a lot of bravado, and I know that's like a big part of it. But I also like when that bravado sort of twisted on its head. Anyway, I love that logo, but it had some issues. So we threw everything at it just to sort of get it to the point where it worked well. And then when you guys see it embroidered, it's so wild how it came out. Like it might not even come out for a couple more months. I don't even know when the delivery is, but it's so wild. And we pushed back so hard on it to get it right. And I don't know, it's wild. Vandals is the one that came to mind.
Yeah. So that's been that one. I can't wait to see.
Yeah.
It's gonna be crazy. Yeah.
Oh, you built it up pretty big right now. So
Yeah.
pretty
I
excited.
think some of us expected that you might mention murder hornets as being a difficult one to design.
No, that one was great.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. That one, as soon as I saw that one, like we simplified it a little bit. Our guys at Brandios simplified it, but that's another Austin design. Like
That was my number one, man.
so sick.
That was my number one.
Yeah, so sick. I mean, the problem with that was like, how do you simplify it but also maintain the silhouette? Like,
Yeah.
and then because you want to like we could have probably embroidered it as is when Austin originally submitted it on that Monday morning crit, but
Yeah.
you wouldn't have been able to like raise enough stuff to make it like sort of interesting. So we had to simplify a lot of stuff in order to make that right. And I'm hyped for that one. That one is easy. It's the stuff that it's the sneaky stuff actually. Like an interesting, complicated one, frankly, is like John's like pencil Kong. That one was challenging because how do you show the bandana around the pencil?
Yeah.
Also like put the detail on the bandana. And
Yeah,
actually,
you also raised like the muzzle.
yeah. So,
right?
but okay, right. So that was a call out we did, but that's a little bit of like a Hail Mary because sometimes that doesn't look right.
Yeah.
That ended up looking great. So
it did.
yeah. So right, but again, that's like a little bit of a Hail Mary, and I felt bad too because I remember when I asked John to submit a logo pre-Clink launching. Right, he was that design was like one of the OG 12 that we launched with. You know, he submitted that, and I think he had kind of like a classic John smile or growl. I don't even remember what he had, but I was like, "Yo, make it at the Kong mouth," and he did that. So I felt this like extra pressure to like make sure we got that right.
So can I ask a question really quick? What was your biggest sleeper, do you think? Now that you've seen them all, which one was the one that was the biggest sleeper of the group?
Of the ones that have arrived?
Yeah.
Well, my answer is going to be influenced by what sold numbers wise. And so I think John's fresh kicks, which didn't sell crazy numbers, is shocking to me. Like that was actually one of the first designs where I was like, I have no idea what people want.
No, listen, man, I gotta tell you, man, I give a proverbial middle finger to anyone who told me that that wasn't a good hat, because once I got it in, now everyone wants it.
Dude,
The
it's
shoe.
so good. Like, and I knew it was going to be good. And like, you know, there's a big crossover between like Nike, you know,
Yeah.
collector people. Like when that didn't kill numbers wise, it did fine. But like, you know, I'm not trying to like call
I
out.
like it. You know what I like about it, Casey? I now have a rare hat.
Dude, you
I have
guys
a rare
have a
hat.
very rare hat. Another,
Yeah.
and to actually keep on a theme, sidekicks. The not, you know,
Don't get me started on sidekicks. Sidekicks is a fucking piece of art.
dude, that didn't sell.
Really?
We should have sold hundreds of those.
After seeing it in hand, you should have sold 300 of that hat. It is a piece of art.
But it
How,
didn't.
I mean, how could you pass on this? How could you possibly pass
so
on this?
good.
I mean,
I know
it
the
is.
colorways
It's
so
so good. I mean, just
Casey, the thing you said to us about, remember when you were on the show last time, you talked about the brush strokes
good.
kind of transitioned into embroidery. It's in full effect on that hat.
Full effect, yeah. No, and you're gonna see more. And so honestly, this first round we didn't get to do as much of that as we normally would do. So
Yeah.
normally when I get back an MILB logo, for instance, right, a minor league logo, one of the main things I do is I help them break down the logo into smaller pieces that are more painterly, more structurally. I didn't get to do that with this round. This first delivery, I just sort of gave the initial instructions and hoped it would be right. And they got 90%, 95% of it right.
Yeah.
With these additional ones, like I really get to push back on them and say, you know, hey, this isn't right, but you need to redo this. And we're gonna see a lot more like really cool, strange, fun breakdance.
Casey, did you guys do the Woo socks? The
Yes.
Worcester red? Okay. You made an emoji look fucking cool. So like that one, I was floored by that. When I got the Woo socks, you know, like the happy emoji logo in
Yeah,
from the Worcester Red Sox.
yeah.
Dude, I was like, at first, I'm like, this is corny as shit, man. And then I got the thing in. I'm like, holy shit! Like, this thing's beautiful.
Yo, you want to hear a crazy story about that logo?
Yeah. Tell me.
Okay, so Jason and okay. This is a little bit of a long story. Do you guys have 10 minutes?
Yeah, 10 minutes. Well, let's see.
Okay, so all right. Jason and I, when we were in high school, we went to this big high school out in San Diego here, big powerhouse football school. And I played football, and Jason was the mascot. And we created like this amazing mascot costume. We're the Highlanders, and our costume was the Scotty Dogs. Anyways, Jason became famous in San Diego for being a mascot. The Padres called us when we were in high school and said, "Do you want to be the swinging friar?" So Jason and my first job out of high school was being the swinging friar. That's the origin of Grandiose. Actually, is we were the swinging friar mascot. Ultimately, we got fired. And we got fired because we went to the World Series in 1998 with Kevin Brown. And maybe some people know this. This story's sort of become infamous in some circles. But I built this like life-size piñata of Kevin Brown. And Kevin Brown, if people don't know, he was this pitcher that played for the Padres, took us to the World Series, and then he left and went to the Dodgers for the most money ever.
Yeah.
And I built this piñata. Kevin Brown was coming back to San Diego. I built this piñata and I filled it full of fake money, big bills, little bills, all this thing. Anyways, Kevin Brown came back playing against the Padres. We had this whole thing figured out. We were beating Kevin Brown. I hoisted this piñata, Jason, as the swing friar at Qualcomm Stadium, pre-Petco, smashed into the piñata. People were like running, throwing fake money at Kevin Brown. They were playing money on the board, like wild, right? We thought we would like capture the moment of what it meant to be like a mascot. Okay. We get back into our office. We had this little office in Qualcomm Stadium. And I was getting screamed at with my earpiece. And the earpiece, and it was our boss, Larry Lucchino. Larry Lucchino went on. Okay, anyways,
Larry
the long
Lucchino, man, Red Sox fame.
the long and short of it is that Larry Lucchino fired me and Jason on the spot for bashing Kevin Brown.
Oh.
And
Oh wow.
yeah, so we were fresh out of high school. Fine, I went to go art school. Jason was the mascot at the University of Alabama. He was Big Al. A lot of people know that. But yeah, so he went off. He got his full scholarship to be Big Al. I went off to art school in Brooklyn. Whatever, it's all good. But we spent the next 15 years sort of telling that story that Larry Lucchino, who went on to Red Sox fame, had like fired us. It was like this real story you tell at the bar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, we were at the winter meetings maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and they reached out to us being like, "We want you to redo." Larry Lucchino no longer worked for the Red Sox and bought the Paw Sox that became the Blue Sox. He said, "Hey, we want Grandiose to rebrand it," and Charles Steinberg, who's his number 2 there and his partner in the Blue Sox, we were going to meet them at the bar at the winter meetings in Nashville. And Jason and I were like nervous. We were like, dude, last time we saw these fools, they like fired us when we were 19 years old for like bashing a Kevin Brown like pinata.
Yeah.
So we were like sitting at the bar drinking our beer, and then Larry Lucchino and Charles Steinberger come in and they're like, "You're fired, you're fired, you're fired." They like totally remembered us. Awesome.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And they were like, yeah. So that's our story. And then we ended up doing the Blue Sox, and that's
the logo came out good. So I guess it was a long journey to get to that place.
It was a long journey. Yeah. And they come from Major League, and I think their idea was to really, the smiley face was born in Rooster. And so that's why it's got the smiley face on it. And it was, there's a lot of logos out there that there's some really good ideas. Let's just say there's some really good ideas that were left on the cutting room floor for that project, but they went in a more major league direction, and all power to them. They know their market.
Well, the W's with the little heart are still cool. So I mean, that's getting off the Clink Room. That's getting a little bit off the Clink Room thing, but the W with the heart is pretty cool. I love it. So
good.
And I'm a lifelong Red Sox fan. I love the Paw Sox. I love what you guys did with them too.
Oh, nice.
But
so you like my
I do. I got a funny story about that. I was on one of my Facebook groups, and I was talking about how much I love Clink Room and showing off the pictures. And then someone was like, "Oh, I'm sleeping, so it's fine," or whatever, because they were sleeping on the hats. And then he posted that same hat, and I said, "Do you know who made that hat?" So he's knocking Clink Room kind of in one breath, and then he's showing off that he has that hat. I'm like, I wonder if you know where that hat was made.
This is actually a funny story too. So like, I basically would fire off ideas to Hat Club every once in a while. Just be like, "Yo, I have this weird idea for a hat. You guys want to make it?" I would say half the time they're like, "Oh yeah, maybe," But then this is one of those ones that in between doing whatever project, it's like, "Oh, that'd be funny to do like a slide sex parody," and they ran with it 2-3 years ago, and it's become a hit. So it's fun.
I've got both colorways. So Casey, we're getting towards the end. Were there any other questions out there, Jason, that you think that we should talk about? Well, there is one thing I want to ask that was asked on Instagram, and it was about the extras. So I had a young man on with me who had some of the previous extras, right, Casey?
Yeah.
So like he had some of the bottle caps, he had the pencils, he had that sort of thing. Now, I also am aware, I do think that there's a market out there and a group of people that would be willing to even pay more for the hat if there was more extras involved, like some of the stuff that you guys did it's almost like these extras are almost iconic now.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that? Is there anything in the works? Is there anything different coming besides just the pin and the sticker?
Yeah, I agree with you that we should rethink some of the extras, and we are already sort of re-upping some of that stuff. The sort of like hard truth of it is that when we looked at the math of the previous sort of method, that it just wasn't sustainable.
Yeah.
And that it's also a lot of work to manage that kind of inventory. It's like a whole nother sort of wing. So my sort of, yeah, I agree. That's something I miss about the Clink Room. I mean, I have sort of like a nostalgic box here in the office of sort of my favorite things that we made. And that was such a fun thing to do. But to be frank, with the first round of Clink Room, I didn't track any of that. I just sort of made stuff I wanted to make. And I think it reflects that, right? There's this sort of Wild West sort of like, well, wouldn't this be
Oh yeah, he was
wild?
showing some of the stuff like the bottle caps, and he was showing like
Yeah.
the postcard.
No,
He actually showed me a
fun.
postcard you wrote him. He actually showed me a postcard you wrote him because you messed up his order.
Yeah, man. I mean, that all that stuff is awesome. It's just not sustainable anymore.
Yeah, I get it. But
And
maybe
so-
think about it, Casey. A premium package, though, man. Just think about it, because some folks would pay extra for it.
Okay, I like that. I like that thinking. You know, there's a lot to coordinate too with Hack Club doing fulfillment.
Oh
I
yeah, I
want to
know.
make sure that they get that right, because people get disappointed. Everything's sort of, there's like an equality thing. I don't want
Yeah.
to, you know, I don't know.
No, I get you, man.
All I can say is I'm on the same page. I missed that part of Clink 1.02. Hopefully that sort of nostalgia for it sort of gets people excited for what we can do in the future. So
Yeah,
I'm
I think
excited for what we can do in the future. We're going to get better across the board. That includes swag.
Yeah, it's a business too. I think we all realize that, and I think more so than anything else, we all want it to continue. So that leads to another question that I've kind of heard a lot, and I'd love it if you shared your thoughts on this, or your answer is,
Yeah.
you know, people want to make sure that this isn't like a flash in the pan type thing, and they want to know, is this something that's going to continue, or is this something that when MILB gets back up and running and you guys are really immersed in the grandiose work, is this going to go away?
MILB is up and running. I will tell you that, even though its future is very questionable. Not from a is it going to exist standpoint, but from a like what is it going to look like in the future standpoint. Like these ballparks exist, they're beautiful. Like baseball's not going to get played there. Like baseball will get played there. So minor league baseball's happening. Grandiose is actually doing much better than Jason and I sort of thought it would, much better. So we're, you know, there's 3 fresh identities happening right now that are going to be launched for next year. That's unfathomable to me that that's happening, frankly. So I'm still like doing those logos. No, this is the future. You know, this is the most exciting thing I've done as Grandiose in the last like 10 years.
Yeah,
And I am so creatively inspired, and the people that I get to work with, you know, I'm like reluctant to even mention them by name, because I'm just enjoying collaborating with everyone so much. And yeah, so I can't say where it's headed exactly, but all I can say is we're here to stay, and I want to make each one of these hats that you guys get. Just to go back to the swag comment, I would rather make the hat as great as possible than like make the swag better, you know? We'll get to a point where it'll be like second nature to spit, you know, 6 hats and make them amazing, and make sure they're like, you know, production quality is like as high as we can get. That'll be like, it's already getting to that point. And we'll do things like swag and all that other stuff. But you know, yeah, we're it's so fun. All I can say is I'm having time of my life, and creatively, and I can't say where it's going to go. I mean, maybe we reduce the number of designs but increase the number of colorways eventually. Maybe we offer different styles. You know, just to teach.
It's a journey, right? And you're still trying to figure out where it's headed. So,
but I want to keep it simple too. There's like a purity to Clink Room. That is like so like nice, you know. I want to start offering some apparel too. It'd be fun to do T-shirts, but how do you do T-shirts that are going to be delivered on a different schedule than a hat? Like, so there's lots to figure out. It's all fun and exciting. And
well, knowing New Era, you'd be waiting on the hats, and the T-shirts would be waiting on the hats. So I think we can figure that part out at least.
Yeah, definitely. But there's ways too to increase the speed at which we get the hats. Like, I think there's just infinite ways to improve there's no shortage of designs. So I will tell you right now, like one of the things, I probably have banked, 30 designs that I've collaborated with people, just banked, like that, that's not even like guys that are just submitting. That's just like crazy stuff, stuff I'm working on personally. I also have like my own personal sort of like hit list of projects that I want to work on. Shout out to Jason. You're next in line. Like there's actually one that's coming out Friday that I worked on personally because the guy came to me and was like, what about this name? And I was like, please, like, just be patient with me. I'm going to pitch you some ideas. It's so dope.
Yeah.
I want to design that logo. So, it's just fun, creative. We're having a great time.
So Casey, I got one more question for you before we kind of wrap up. So the other big question out there has been like, because just recently with the Taco League, you did bring back an old design. Is there more of that in the works, or is that something that you're still trying to iron out, or are you steadfast? Nope, not happening.
Yes. So I think the Taco Bowls was a little bit of an experiment, I guess, in like seeing how the Clink community would react to re-releasing a previous design as a pre-order. It didn't go in the way that I hoped it would, so I don't think we'll do that again. Not to say that if we didn't re-release Shams or one of these like big designs that people like really crave. But all I can say is that Hack Club is really going to be the linchpin of all that. Because I just feel like the strength of the Clink Room, I don't want to become like, one thing I learned from Clink Room 1.0 is I don't want to be a traditional retailer. It's just, it's not in my nature. It's not interesting to me.
Yeah.
It's just not interesting to me.
No, I get it. So you guys are like the innovators at the ground level, like creating like this like it's a cool concept. Listen,
I want to be right. I want the Clink Room to be messier than that, frankly. I want it to be, I want there to be more failures. And I hope to get to the point where we can like pitch crazier stuff. Once we get our numbers higher too, our minimum numbers, like when I know like guaranteed, I got an audience big enough that we can sell X amount, then that unlocks like other potential like side hits and embroidery in different places, So I can't wait to get to that point, because that will mean that'll open up a whole new creative realm for us.
I'm with you. I think like the audience is there.
Yeah.
I think I want to be clear. I don't want to negate other things that are going on out there, but I think that the natural inclination right now is shifting towards some of this custom work and some of the MILB cool stuff that Brandios does. And some, I just feel like it's shifting there a little bit. That's what I'm seeing. I'm starting to see a little bit of fatigue around MLB logos. That's just what I'm seeing, and that's not knocking what other people are doing. That's what I'm seeing. So hopefully this captive audience gets to a place where I don't know, man. I want to see this stuff, this creative stuff just blow up.
Yeah.
And I can feel it shifting there. It's just a matter of capturing more people to do the things you're talking about, which I completely want to see. And I think everyone would agree that I want to see both great MLB logos and colorways and whatnot, but also a nice, good balance of this kind of stuff.
I just want to acknowledge like the insane awesomeness that is like Hack Club's sort of ability to like twist a simple colorway into a story.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like what John is doing over there at Hack Club, like sick as hell. Like there's just it's so cool and so awesome. And but I think the Clink is like a direct dovetails really like perfectly into what Hack Club is doing, because it's going to give them
because you've got the design, they're twisting the colors.
So right. And so the ability to just like be like, we have this like crazy funnel of insane designers constantly like dropping dope ideas into our lap. Like we can test the ones that people are going to love. Like go run with them.
Oh man, you guys, dude, you guys are like the Nas album Illmatic, and they've remixed all 10 tracks. I mean, that's kind of the analogy I would use.
Greatest compliment I've ever received.
Yeah, well,
I mean, the hat you're wearing right now, like do it in green on a black hat, and Like,
Dude, no kidding. Man. This thing can be done in every colorway imaginable.
I know a fall colorway. Do green to celebrate how dope.
You do this with olive. You do olive with a pink under on this thing.
Oh,
Amazing.
And this thing will kill, man.
Amazing. Right. So there's a lot of actual designs like that. Like, one of my favorites is Jason Villani's Frenchie's hat. Like, I want to see like a black rose. I want to see like, I want to see so many cool like variations on that. Like, I don't know. It's a fun world. I'm grateful to have a partner like Hat Club that is going to run with it in a creative way, do it justice. And
yeah, and I want to see the diversity kind of like expand. So that's kind of where I'm at. It's certainly not knocking anything anybody else is doing. It's more about I want to see more diversity and selection, give people more options and that sort of thing. So
yeah. And I know actually, Pierre, I mean, I don't follow too closely because I can't handle the criticism, which I'm going to therapy for, which is good. But Pierre, you've said things like, I wish like the quality of the designs or people spent a little more time on the designs. And actually, I want to push back on that because I think the sort of messiness and speed at which people spit out ideas is the beauty of Clink. Like give me a messy idea, like a crappy drawing that is like a dope idea that we can like run with for the next week is a much better, more preferred than like a sort of like the idea that's beautifully designed. Like give me something messy. Like
Casey, I'm with you, but listen, I think I agree because you're a creative mind who's going to help someone get from point A to point Z. What I'm saying is consumers that are looking at this creative process, right, get turned off to someone because they don't understand how the sausage is made.
Right.
So my thing isn't about like wanting to negate the creative process.
Yeah.
My thing is looking out for the creator themselves. So they don't lose a potential customer base or people that are going to be engaged with their designs because they don't understand how the sausage is made.
That's a really good criticism. But that's a good criticism. Actually, I'm going to really take that to heart because I feel like then it's my job as a storyteller of the process of the Clink Room just to make sure it's clear that it's the process, right? That as a consumer, you're involved in like the creative messiness of like bringing something to life. So, dude, that's dope.
You know what, Casey? I'm going to equate it to something you just talked about earlier. Okay.
Yeah.
So you talked to me about, even before we got on the show, you talked to me about one thing, and it was about this. It was you would walk into your mother's house, who has all of your artwork from when you were in elementary school all the way through like your college years, and you put blinders on because you don't want to see it.
Right.
That's analogous sometimes to what a consumer sees when they're watching this creative process occur, and they don't understand it.
Right.
And then my fear is someone like, and I'm not going to use names. There's some artists out there that throw out too much, right? Mm-hmm. And what happens is consumers then become, and people that could be engaged with them, kind of like shut them off because they're almost like annoying.
Interesting.
And that's me, because I'm not a creative mind like that. Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm someone who's looking at it from a different perspective. And I think both perspectives have value. You're right. I think some of the raw designs that come to you turn out to be winners.
Right. So I think there's a part of the culture of Clink that I didn't expect and I don't fully understand actually, which is a lot of you collectors follow the designers.
Oh yeah.
Right. And I know that happens because sometimes, because when I go see people's designs, I see who's liking what, right? And you guys all pop up. So I guess I didn't connect that you guys are really seeing far down the line, like what's, the sausage stuff. And because there are some guys that they do throw out a lot. And it's about like idea. And I'll be honest, I actually prefer that to the guy that launches the one, because I just think so many designs are like sort of almost there, and like they could just use like a little extra like punch. I don't know. Anyways, that's a good balance. You've given me like a lot to think about, and you've given me like a new way to think about the criticism of like.
But I also could have done a better job explaining it. So, you know, Casey, it's like,
good.
I think that's why these conversations are always fruitful, man. Every time
I love coming on this thing. It's so fresh. It's so fun.
yeah,
I get to hear things in a way that I don't get to hear things normally when we're just sort of day-to-day running stuff.
well, yeah, well, you opened me up to something too, man. So I think that's what's cool about this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I love this conversation. So,
Me too.
Casey, I think we've kept you on long enough.
Okay.
You know, I want to make sure that your time is valuable, and I want to make sure that we kind of respect that. So, I'd love to have you back on again soon. You know, I mean, these things are outstanding, and I think Jason and Aaron will agree that when we have you on, man, it's tremendous. And you know, just to kind of encapsulate everyone, I understand there's some concerns around the logistics. That's going to get ironed out. If there's some sort of issue made, Casey's already said, hey, listen, they're going to work through that. So we feel good about that. And I want to just share that the product itself, fucking incredible. Okay. I have 4,000 goddamn hats, and the 15 I just got in have immediately catapulted. Most of them have catapulted into my top 20 to 30 hats. So I won't even curve the brim. And I'm a brim curver. I won't do it because I can't. I gotta start doubling up on some of the ones I'm sure I'm gonna want to wear. But the product's outstanding, working out some issues. I love to see the journey. I hope you understand what I meant by not everyone wants to see how the sausage is made or don't understand it.
Oh man, I honestly, I was the only reason I brought it up because I was hoping you would hit me with that question because I wanted to like wrestle with you on that.
Oh, you were ready to verbally wrestle with me.
Well, no, like what do you mean by that? Because I think the like sort of process is what makes Clink unique. So,
Yeah.
but hearing you redefine it, reframe it is dope, man. You got me thinking about 20 different things. I brought it up for me, not for you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, man. So again, I really thank you for being on, Casey. You're a legend in the game. I look up to you, and I know a lot of other people do. So,
So much,
guys, Aaron, Jason, got any last words before we sign off?
I just want to say it's been an honor talking to you, Casey. You know, I watched the show the first time that you were on, and you were exciting and inspiring to listen to. And yet again, here you are in the same way. You get us excited. It's not just us on the show, but people watching. I mean, you get us excited about the work that you do and the art that you put out, because you really put out art, and it's nice to see how excited you get about it, because you get us fired up too.
Yeah.
and
thank you.
We care so much, man. I just I appreciate you guys so much for seeing that.
I mean, I just want to add that there's kind of a lack of diversity in the hats that are being produced today, and the Clink Room is definitely one of those spots where we can go and see just different styles, different kinds of hats being released, and it's a great thing.
Yeah.
And there's no side patches, so that's good too.
Well, not yet. He said once he's guaranteed the mins get higher, he's gonna start slapping some
He's
side.
throwing a side patch on everything.
No, listen, Efra. I want Efra to put one of those world champion devil side patches on a hat, man.
Oh,
I
yeah, exactly.
I want that thing on a hat, man.
Hell yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
I mean,
that world champions devil side patch.
dude, I mean, people don't understand Brandios gets a lot of recognition for its names and like main uniforms. It's
Yeah.
actually a pretty small portion of our business. The main portion of our business is like anniversary logos, all-star logos. Like
Yeah.
that's like our bread and butter. So watch out.
Put those on the front of the hat then.
Nah,
Not on
man.
the side.
No.
No.
All right, so guys, we're gonna sign off. We'll be back
Thanks,
on the
guys.
air Saturday with our weekend caps. That's always a big draw. I'll be on Instagram a couple more times this week. I'll do the 3 best things in caps this week, and worst thing in caps this week. I'm probably gonna do a top. Go ahead.
Sorry. I'm telling my son to go with my girlfriend.
Oh, I got you.
Our building is locked downstairs.
Oh, I got you. Okay, cool. All right, so guys, everybody have a great night. Thanks
Thank
again
you, guys.
for joining us. Be well.
Thank you all.